This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on July 12th, 2025. Welcome back to You've Already Been Hacked. This week, we are hitting you with 5 different stories, some of which I already know Cowboy thinks are rather hilarious. Cyber Cowboy, welcome back to the podcast, sir.
Hello, good morning, good evening, Mr. Professor.
Thank you. I'm your Professor CyberRisk, and let's get right into the news. Our top story this week is the breakdown of the global vulnerability databases. The National Vulnerability Database, or the NVD, and the Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures, CVE systems, which happen to be the 2 pillars, not just 2 pillars, of global cybersecurity, are facing severe operational strain. NVD has a backlog of over 25,000 vulnerabilities, while CVE narrowly avoided collapse due to contract issues. We all remember that nightmare from earlier this year. Budget cuts, interagency friction, and a surge in disclosed vulnerabilities have exposed cracks in the system. Now, CISA has launched Vulnrichment, quote unquote, to decentralize enrichment efforts, but trust in these public resources is eroding. So why does this matter, Cowboy? Well, these databases are foundational, obviously, to everything that we do. This breakdown risks shows an increase in risk for our unpatched exploits across industries. Our smaller orgs rely on these free tools disproportionately and are going to be affected as such. And there's a shift here towards privatization and decentralization of vulnerability intelligence, something else that we have talked about before. Thoughts?
What are we doing, people? Holy cow! This can't happen. Period. Dot. We've said it before. It doesn't just impact industry. It doesn't just impact the person. It doesn't just impact our wallet. It impacts national security. It's everything. Like this can't happen. Please, for the love of Pete, call your Congress people. Like this is insanity.
I 100% agree with you, except for the one thing. The one thing in here that is not, shall we say, a potentially self-inflicted wound is the amount of disclosures that have been showing up recently. Like, it's almost accelerated, right? And maybe that's a good thing, right? We have more, but if there is a backlog of over 25,000 vulnerabilities, like, we have a scaling problem now with being able to keep up with what we know is broken. So where is it the problem with the NVD and the CVE, or is it a problem with those that are making software that aren't doing the necessary steps to secure their software up front? Or is it the fact that we have 0 days that no one's going to know is a vulnerability in the first place, so this is always going to be an exponential problem?
Yes to everything, especially the first 2, right? And like, hey, hello, AI, ML, artificial intelligence, machine learning. This is it. This is where we should be putting those things in place to gather, to parse, to analyze and tag correctly, right? There's ways we can speed up and get after that backlog.
I agree, and I think that there are LLMs that exist today, such as White Rabbit Neo and a couple others that are not, dare I say, quote unquote evil in the sense of cybersecurity, but designed to help with penetration testing and stuff like that. It's very similar to Kali Linux or Parrot, but in the LLM world, where they could take those LLMs and bang them against their software to see if there's a vulnerability there. I mean, I don't know. Like, you pick your LLM du jour today, whether it's a public provider, private provider, or self-hosted LLM. There are plenty that have an entire command and understanding greater than any software engineer is going to have with regard to the types of coding languages, right? Bang those against your code base and see if it can come up with a vulnerability. If it can it be fixed? Or is it just something that is problematic in that particular code base, right? if it can be fixed, I would say yes, dedicate the resources to fixing that, either post launch or pre-launch. Pre-launch preferable. Patching is always going to be a thing, obviously, but if it can't be fixed, then at least having uh, the the known vulnerability either out there, which could be problematic because that's a double edged sword, or having a warning or some sort of disclosure stating that we are using, and I'm just going to pick on it because it's out there, Java 11. Java folks, not picking on you. You do great work. Virtual machine across the internet, all sorts of good stuff. But back when Java 11 was a thing and a problem, there was that massive vulnerability that happened. Um, if they had had White Rabbit Neo or something like that, I'm just picking on that because that's one that's popping into my head right now, bang against their code base at that time, maybe it would have caught that vulnerability before it got in the wild. And maybe it wouldn't have been as horrific a problem set for everyone to deal with. And maybe not, I don't know. But that I agree with you. That's a place where we should be employing AI and ML up front is uh, code it, check it, bang against it, fix it, deploy it, like in that sort of order. And since companies like Salesforce and CrowdStrike, and those are converting their workforces to AI focused, they already are using a software engineering stack that involves AI in the creation of code. So there should be some AI in there that's checking the other AI's work at this point. That's what I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's still too many people in the industry who have that ego or that unwillingness to run their software against some of these products. Get over yourself. Just do it. Just get it done.
The other thing of interest that came out this past week with this story, and something I think we have chewed on before on the podcast, is the fragmentation of global threat intelligence with regard to cyber, right? Who, where are these vulnerability databases going to live? Who's responsible for updating them, maintaining them, all that sort of stuff. And as we're seeing, there's a push towards a level of privatization. Now, when I say private in the discussion here, I'm simply suggesting not government run. It doesn't necessarily mean for profit. I want to make sure we have that distinction, right? So is it necessarily an ultimate bad that these things become privatized if that ends up going that way? I don't think so, but I think there's a lot of motivation as to what occurs, right? I don't consider I consider like oh my god, my brain, everybody, the Linux Foundation, right? They're not government run. They are a non-governmental organization. um I don't know that you could say they're private. They're definitely not public. They're a consortium of folks that are responsible for a lot of things that make the internet and technology work today. um would a place like that, not saying Linux Foundation, but one like Linux Foundation, be an appropriate place for this stuff to live if it does go away from government centric repository?
I'd almost like to see it go away from government centric. The change and I'll call it instability between the parties, between who's in charge at any given time. I want to get all that out of it in a way. I'd love to see like some sort of crowd funded nonprofit right type thing stand up that keeps away from anything that can politicize or monetize the direction and just be like for the cyber good of the people, right? Like I would love to see some type of organization stand up like that could take this on, get funded appropriately from the big dogs that know how much this is important and just get after it, right?
Yeah,
That's my
yeah,
two
yeah,
cents.
absolutely. um yeah, I mean,
Maybe we should stand that up. I don't know.
yeah, that'd be great. Crowdfund to there, or if you want to angel invest into that, let us know. We'll be happy to discuss. Um, yeah, I think I think I agree with you in concept. I think that maybe the best thing for us to do is to have it be an NGO nonprofit that is responsible for it long term. Um, the conversion from where it is to getting it to that place, I don't know what that looks like today, and I don't want to speculate right now, but I think maybe that would be the healthier place. So long as the construction is set up in such a way that it remains for nonprofit, because the moment that profit gets introduced into something like that, then I think you
Forget
have,
about it.
yeah, you have a different ball game altogether, right? And then you have different motivations. So I I don't see it. I don't see quote unquote privatization or a move away from government centric as bad. It just has to be done the right way. And then I think if it's done the right way, I think we'll be okay. But that's all to be seen. Now, moving on to our next story, which is also vulnerability focused.
Yes, Cowboy.
Microsoft, and a thumbs up to Microsoft here, um, patched over 130 vulnerabilities, including 17 high risk ones, just here at the beginning of July on Patch Tuesday. The notable thing out of all these 130 patches is none of them were 0 days. This breaks an 11-month streak. I don't know if that's a good streak to break or a bad one. Critical flaws that were patched included a wormable RCE, which is CVSS 9.8, which was SPN, EGO, SQL Server info leaks, and a BitLocker bypass, which that's horrific in and of itself because BitLocker is supposed to be the encryption that saves everybody on Microsoft.
Yes.
The SPN EGO flaw could have allowed I can speak here, on authenticated remote code execution prompting urgent patching. So it's great that they saw these. It's great that they fixed these, and that SPN the SPN EGO was like a WannaCry level risk. So this is fantastic work on Microsoft's part. Fantastic work on fixing that BitLocker bypass. But again, I don't know if not finding any 0 days is good or bad. Like that's just a number that is their code base that fixed? Are we there? Have we done it? Is it no longer something we need to worry about? I mean, I'm saying that a little bit sarcastically, I think, but if so, if they're at a point of equistasis with that, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I just want our audience to know that the wormable RCE was a severe heap-based buffer overflow vulnerability, scored a 9.8 out of 10. 9.8 out of 10. That is remote code execution without user interaction. That is like that's bad.
That's family fun for everyone, literally.
That yes, that for a hacker, we're like, woo, that's the good stuff right there.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think about not finding any 0 days? I think that's I think that's big in either on either side of the coin.
I'm stuck in the middle. I'm conflicted, right? So like, they're still out there. Now, does that just mean that Microsoft didn't find any? Does that mean that their bug bounty program didn't find any, or did it mean that the huge patch of the 130 vulnerabilities they fixed was just so overwhelming they didn't have time to look at 0 days?
Oh, that could, I didn't even think of it from that angle. Is, you know what? We got through 130 of them. We didn't find anything else right now because this is as far as we got. Like that could be another way to look at that. Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, it's hard to read that, right? Is that good or bad breaking that streak? I don't know. I don't have enough data.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not think of it that way. That's a great point. Yeah, maybe 130 was enough for this Patch Tuesday. Maybe that's all it came down to. Okay, our next story. North Korean IT workers scheme has been dismantled. The DOJ, US DOJ, has disrupted a massive North Korean IT worker scheme, seizing 29 domains and raiding 21 quote unquote laptop farms across 14 US states. Operatives use stolen identities to secure jobs at over 100 U.S. companies, funneling nearly $1 million in digital assets back to the DPRK. The operation highlights how sanctioned states exploit remote work and identify fraud to infiltrate corporate networks. Well,
Wow.
yes, I think remote work can be used and weaponized for espionage purposes. I'm just going to state right off the bat, do not use that as a reason to cancel any remote work your company has. I think that is, there is plenty of evidence that on-site espionage happens just as horrifically as off-site espionage. I'm just going to throw that out there for my own personal 2 cents. This highlights the gaps in identity verification and hiring practices, which doesn't matter if you're in person or remote. This demonstrates that
Yes.
the DPRK is involving cyber financing tactics, and it raises concerns about insider threats from fake employees. This is something that has been, I would say, anyone that's done verification work or quote unquote counterintelligence work for your company or at the state level, this is par and parcel. This is expected behavior. The fact that it got so wide and so prolific is where I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, like are you doing any type of identity verification, any kind of background checks on these people? You especially in cyber, I mean that is oh, the key to the vault, people. Holy
Yeah.
cow. Yeah, I can't believe how big this was. 100 US companies, 21 farms, 14 states, almost $1 million in digital assets back to to North Korea, right? Like something that should jump out at you. This not something. I won't go down that route. But back to North Korea. Like, wow.
Wow. This shows that cyber ops, and here as North Korea is the example, cyber ops are no longer just cyber ops. They're now HR ops, right? It is now a human resources problem, which I don't know about you, Cowboy. Our human resource people, they're wonderful people in every company, truly. But cyber savvy folk, I would hesitate to say the majority, probably not.
I mean,
So yeah,
we do 2 week background checks for people with top secret clearances. They
yeah,
don't waive it even for that, right? Just to show like the in-depth way that the company we work for, that if you're on our LinkedIn or whatever, you know who we work for. But yeah, people come in like, hey, they've had a top secret clearance for 25 years. That's great. Still doing a 2 week background check.
yeah.
All right, you know, got it. And the yeah,
It's just amazing.
yeah,
And 100 U.S. companies. That's 100 known U.S. companies. Who knows how many more are out there? And this was just the DPRK. Who else is doing this? You can't. I would. There's no way that no one else is doing this at some industrial level. So who else is hiding out there, stealing what? And we know that corporate espionage is a thing. Like there are less than friendly countries to the United States, for this example, that absolutely have operatives inside of critical infrastructure places stealing our lunch and our intellectual property. And this is a key example of it. Good job on the DOJ here for clamping down on this and getting rid of folks and getting this scheme out of the way. I think this is a positive out of them.
yeah. They're hitting all the sectors, right? Industry, they're hitting government, they're hitting higher education. There's plenty of news stories out there that showcase all of that. So yeah, yeah. This was a big ring to hit. They're just going to try to recompile it. So hopefully there's some lessons learned and not some lessons identified going on out there.
Absolutely. All right. Our next story. Um, it's in one of my other Venn diagram circles. Close-ish to me, not directly. It's for our gaming folk out there. Mythstealer malware is targeting gamers and browser users. There is a new Rust-based malware dubbed Mythstealer, and it is spreading via fake gaming sites and cracked software. It is targeting Chrome and Firefox users. It's harvesting passwords, cookies, and autofill data. Initially shared for free on Telegram, It is now part of a malware as a service operation. MythStealer uses deceptive installers and fake cheat tools to lure victims. Rust-based malware is harder to detect and reverse engineer. Gamers and hobbyists are the prime targets via social engineering. Malware as a service has it lowers the barrier for cyber criminals and those that are interested in nefarious activities because they don't have to create their exploits. They can just buy them just like anybody else. And this highlights a risk of downloading unofficial or unvetted software. Now, to my gaming friends, this story points out one key thing. Cheat software. And I'm just going to say this. If you're cheating in video games, online platform video games, just get good and stop using the cheats. And if you can't get good, find somebody that can teach you to be good. Cyber Cowboy knows, and we're not going to get into what Professor plays, but Cyber Cowboy knows that Professor plays some video games, and he's seen the work. So I'm just as good at my video gaming as I am at my cybersecurity. A little boast there, but I have the receipts. So just get good. That's all I'm going to say on that. As for everybody else, unvetted software is a concern for me. Simply because as a cybersecurity guy and as a home labber and as a tinkerer inside the digital SOC and elsewhere, GitHub is my friend. And there is a lot of things to install out there on GitHub that are worth experimenting with. But whether or not it is a safe thing to do, that's a good question. Cowboy?
Yes, Cyber Cowboy is also a gamer. Most of the gaming world hates cheaters. Quick to call them out, quick to blacklist them, keep it up. Yes, I say again, just get good. Quit being that. But yeah, man, don't. We've said before about the clicky clicks, right? And you know, do you really need? There's so many games out there, and a lot of them are really cheap. Yes, some are free, but I always question the free stuff. Either because they're going to make me pay up with the in-game buying stuff, right? Which we saw rear its head. People got really mad, and it's kind of went away, thankfully. But yeah, if free is it too good to be true? You got to ask yourself that every single time.
I would say that the place where I would expect this, and this is Professor's postulation, in a large percent, not just current or modern AAA games. I'm sure there's some of that, but I would expect this to be more in the retro gaming community or the emulator community who wants to enjoy previous video game experiences. I'm being very careful because don't want to get flagged for posting previous video game experiences on no longer commercially available platforms, and they would like to experience some of the games on those platforms that they can no longer purchase or purchase at a reasonable price because the market for retro gaming stuff is absolutely bonkers, insane expensive for some reason. I think that those places, at least some of them, if you're going for certain types of titles, yeah, that's probably where this is happening. Because that may be the only place where you can get that title at this point, especially for emulation as opposed to having a physical copy. So yeah, be very careful out there. Be very careful if you're a gamer. Be very careful if you're a hobbyist. And then the other point on this story was social engineering. My God, people, please do not be socially engineered into a purchase of questionable software. That right there, you're already going into a realm of potentially not good behavior, and that right there just shows that you're willing to believe something perhaps that you shouldn't. Now, if anyone likes to comment on that and challenge that, I would be more than happy to enter that debate with you.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk a little bit about MythStealer because this is some nasty little software. So it uses string obfuscation, stealthy command and control communications, uses features around fake window reflect, and other advanced evasion techniques. So and it's continuing to evolve. So it's only getting more dangerous, more difficult. There are indicators of compromise, hashes, URLs and domains out there available. if you're tinkering around in questionable areas, bounce some of this stuff off of the intelligence that's out there at a minimum. Do your
At,
homework.
at a minimum. I agree.
Yeah. If it's free, do your homework.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good. That's words to live on. If it's free, do your homework first before you decide to pull that trigger. And in our last story, a critical flaw in open VSX registries threatens the development ecosystem. A CI pipeline flaw in open VSX registry used by VS Code extensions. So, to all of our devs out there that use VS Code, I know that there's plenty of other options now, but many still use VS Code. Uh, could have allowed attackers to hijack the entire extension marketplace or entire VSX registry. Millions of dev machines were at risk of a silent supply chain compromise. Platforms like Gitpod and Google Cloud Shell rely on this registry. And a patch was issued on June 25th after responsible disclosure. So why does this matter? Well, supply chain attacks are increasingly targeted by targeting dev tools, and this is another way to think of supply chain that I don't think a lot of people think about. That the marketplaces, the registries where you would go to install extensions, is part of the supply chain. I know that's an odd thought, but just wrap your brain around it for a second. The CI and CD pipelines are high valuable targets to attackers. Once you're in the code, you can manipulate code, and then code looks good, except it's not. VS Code is ubiquitous, and this flaw has a massive blast radius. That this is something that I don't know that gets fixed right away because VS Code is so extensible and is so prolific. It is used so widely. I know, like I said, I know there's alternatives, and I know there's a community that uses alternatives, but I still think that is very much in the minority at this point. I could be wrong. And the fact that this was a silent compromise could have led to a widespread malware distribution apocalypse almost. So, Cowboy, what do you think about this as a supply chain problem?
I think you said it right at sort of the beginning. The development portion of the supply chain is starting to come more and more under attack. I don't think enough people are recognizing that. Heck, for how do I obfuscate this? Somebody I was doing some work for previously was doing or setting up to do things in the cloud that made me go, oh, that's such a bad idea if you don't have the right defenses in place because of this, right? It's sort of where DevSecOps came from. It kind of hints back to, I can't think of it. I'm having a brain dump here. The last big supply chain attack that took place that got pushed out in the patch. SolarWinds, the big SolarWinds attack, right? Pushed out in a patch. And so the too quick to hit the easy button, right? You got to secure your code, you got to secure your development.
This is one where I don't even, they wouldn't have even known, right? So this is an issue that OpenVSX registry had to have fixed, and they did, and they disclosed it, which is good. And the story here is it's a responsible disclosure, which means they didn't wait an infinite amount of time before letting people know. They let people know what they knew when they knew, and they patched when they could patch. But again, as an end developer, if the marketplace I'm using is compromised, that's not something I can fix. So
Mm-hmm.
it's this layering of vulnerability that I'm not saying be paranoid about where you use and what you install. I mean, healthy paranoia is good. Cybersecurity levels of paranoia probably not good all the time. Cannot live in red space, right? But yeah, this is one of those things that you have to have a level of, I would dare to say vigilance, but at least cognizance of platform, and be deliberate in what you're using, because that particular platform may end up with a vulnerability, and if that's your sole place to go for things, that may be problematic. So you may want to build some redundancy into your supply chain infrastructure across multiple stacks.
Yeah, and I want to say hats off, bravo to VS Code for that responsible disclosure. No cyber company likes to disclose stuff like this because of that brand hit and stuff we talk about in other series. But this is the right way to do business. You shouldn't expect perfection from anyone or anything that you're using, right? It's always trust but verify, and honestly, it's better. My personal opinion, Cyber Cowboy's opinion is it's better for your brand to do that responsible disclosure. Hey, we found something, we fixed it. Let's make sure we're all protected.
I agree. I agree. And I think that responsible disclosure is something that companies have to move towards. I think that if disclosure law is what is going to force a company to do something, that they're going to do whatever the minimum is that they have to do, which quote unquote is responsible because you are paying attention to the law, but it's really not, right? It's the minimum. And if you want to just wear your minimum pieces of flair, that's fine, but you're not really meeting where you really need to be. And that's the professor's opinion.
Professor,
Cowboy,
if you want me to wear 30 pieces of flair, just tell me to wear 30 pieces of flair.
Cowboy, I want you to wear 45 pieces of flair. You got anything else for us, Cowboy?
Yeah, folks, remember, when the game is free, you're the payload. I'm Cyber Cowboy. Stay frosty.
And I'm the professor of CyberRisk. That's all the news for this week, and we'll talk again soon. If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.